1974.
Preview Show.
Jacob Tanswell to preview the first leg of Villa's Europa tie against Ajax, Europa Conference League, I should say, away at Ajax. Loads of Villa fans already there, loads of Villa fans on their way as well, I've seen. And Jacob, you'll be on your way first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I will be. It's an early flight. I've got to be up leave my apartment at 2, get to Heathrow for a 5:40. So it's going to be a long day, and I think I'll be just glad that when the kickoff comes, really, it's going to be a long day, but one that's going to be so enjoyable too.
Yeah, I mean, look, historically, Ajax are a massive club, still are a massive club as well, but it's worth saying at this point, they're not the team that they once were. Villa, I think, would be comfortable favourites. Ajax have really, really struggled this year in their league, in the Eredivisie, and although it's still like it is a big game, isn't it? I think, Ajax, as I've said, aren't the team that they once were, and it will be great for the Villa fans to go there, but this isn't a game against a team of European giants.
No, and that's why I was really excited about the tie. I wanted Ajax because, one, it's easy to get to, quite straightforward. Secondly, it's, in name, a really big European tie. But actually, if you look at it, it shouldn't, as I say now, without wanting to tempt fate, it's not as big a challenge as Ajax in yesteryear would suggest. Because, you look at them now, they're kind of in this stick and plasters over everything. You even see it now. They're fifth in the league. They've stabilised to some degree, but they're not playing well. They've lost to Alkmaar 2 weeks ago, obviously, who Villa faced in the group stages, and they're not playing the Ajax way. They've gone quite pragmatic and just trying to get some results now. So this is not the Ajax of old, but yet this is still a great experience for those fans going over and for the club as a whole.
Yeah, everyone's saying in the chat, which is brilliant, that Jacob's audio is really low. So hopefully our producer will be able to sort that out. We tested all this before we came. Hopefully it's not to the levels of that Greg Evans was so low and I was so loud. So apologies if it is. We can't seem to get anything right at the moment with this software. Not sure why. So hopefully Adam will beaver away behind the scenes to get this sorted, although I'm not really sure there's much he can do. Jacob, you might have to have a look at your configuration and have a look if there's any volumes you can turn up on your laptop in your settings.
I'll have to shout a little bit more as well.
Yeah, give it a big shout. That's Adam's put his thumbs up for you to shout, which tells me that he's going to do absolutely nothing about the audio. So yeah, please shout if you can, Jacob. Let's talk about Jordan Henderson. I think he's actually in the Ajax team at the moment. Obviously, he's probably their biggest name player, but the fact that even he's gone there, that's not a very Ajax signing over the last few years. They are really struggling. They've lost so many games. I think they got knocked out of their domestic cup by a fourth-tier Dutch side as well. So, yeah, this has been a really turbulent season for Ajax, and I'm not sure even Jordan Henderson's going to settle it down.
No, Jordan Henderson was speaking today in front of the media. Kind enough, the press pack that are already out there sent over the quotes, and he's talked about Villa Park and Aston Villa and etc. I don't know if you saw the tweet that's gone viral from Ajax's account, where they take a video of Jordan Henderson celebrating a throw-in.
No.
Yeah, they said this is something along the lines of great attitude from Jordan Henderson, and he basically ran 40 yards, won a throw-in, and celebrated in front of the fans. I just thought, okay, this is great application, but it's kind of what you expect from a player like him. But also, they're not really celebrating the technical quality of a Johan Cruyff anymore, or even.
It's not good, is it?
Even like the Erik ten Hag team that got to the semi-finals a few years back. It's more just about the meat and potatoes elements of football, just running, being hard to beat, and that's what they're doing now. Henderson's still working his way to fitness, hence why he's been on the bench. But as I said, in the previous answer, they're playing 5 at the back 3, back 5, 2 number 10s, get out the ball out wide, cross it. This is not the Ajax that, introduced the Johan Cruyff where the, triangle passing, tick-attack. This is, essentially, let's get the job done. Let's be very functional. Let's win these games and let's try and scrape through to the end of the season and let's address the plasters then. But, yeah, this is a complete different team. And, yeah, Jordan Henderson signing kind of echoes that too.
Even the fact they're in the Conference League, like Ajax in the Dutch league should not be in the Conference League. No disrespect to the Conference League at all, but Ajax should be qualifying for the Champions League every single season. It is amazing since Ten Hag left how far they have actually fallen. I know they get picked off. They lose a lot of players. Even this summer they lost Kudus, they lost Alvarez to West Ham. Even the fact that West Ham can come and pick Ajax's two best players. That's not always been the way that football is. So I feel sorry for them because they have lost a lot of players over the years. Every time they get a good player now, they end up departing. But even that, they've always reinvested well, bought up young players again, and all the stuff that they've been good at for as long as I've been born, really, not there anymore.
No, it's not. And also, it's not just that, it's the structure above Eric Ten Hag. So you had that triangle of power, similar to what Emery's got now in terms of Mark Overmars, Edwin van der Sar. They've obviously departed for very different reasons. And since then, there's been that void. They've had that, Sven Mislintat, who was there at Arsenal for a year, went to Ajax. By all accounts, he had a mixed checkered history there in terms of recruitment. And I think when you're a team like Ajax that are continue churning, selling their best players, your recruitment's got to be spot on, hasn't it? It's got to be spot on to maintain those standards. And okay, maybe you can have a little bit of a difference in the Eredivisie because the quality and the competition is not as good. But you'll be exposed in Europe. As it turns out and as it transpires this year, they're struggling on all fronts. They're struggling domestically, but they're also struggling in Europe. And you've seen that getting knocked out of the Europa League, dropping down to the Conference League, not qualifying for the Champions League, etc. There's a series of or a succession of blows they've had, whether it's players, recruitment, overall running of the club, that's culminated in this pretty ugly season, really.
Yeah, and let's talk about Villa, obviously, as well. Great win at the weekend against Luton, albeit they made very hard work of it in the second half. But it feels like there's a bit of momentum building again at the football club. Feels like we're on the cusp of maybe going on one of those big runs that we've gone on under Unai Emery. My question to you is, obviously, you're more, I know you're the Villa reporter, but you're more neutral than I am. I know you don't have to, you could qualify for the Champions League and win the Europa Conference League. I fully understand that. But it obviously does create a load with games, and Villa have done well with that load so far through the season. But from kind of the outside of being a Villa fan looking in, how important is this trophy to Villa in this competition?
I think it's massive. I think if you ask Emery, he puts it on even par with qualifying for the Champions League.
Okay.
Because I always think, always is a question, isn't it? Would you rather, win the FA Cup or stay in the league for those teams in the bottom tier of the table? I come from the school of thought where I think, what is the point of playing football if you don't go for trophies? Like, the trophies are there for Villa. They're favourites to win it. They've only got a few games to do. I know they've got 2 legs, but they've only got a few teams to play. There's no point saying we've got to focus on the top 4. I think you just have to play the games, and the trophies are there to be won. And Villa have got an unbelievable opportunity to really, not sign off, but really punctuate this era of Emery and progress on the pitch by winning a trophy in 50, 60 years' time. You're not going to remember a top 4 finish. Or do you remember that season where Villa came 5th? You'll remember the trophies. You'll remember the success. You'll remember the scenes, in Athens or that final, and Emery and the manager and the captain lifting the trophy. That's what you remember, and that's, I think, why you should play football. Really, that's my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it to death that I think 4th is more important, or getting to the Champions League even. It is more important for Villa because of what it does for you as a football club. We're still getting complaints that Jacob's audio is low, so maybe if you can put your mic closer to your mouth, Jacob, and shout still, that would be absolutely fantastic. Oh, you've just done something there.
Can you hear me better or not?
You have come through louder. Don't tell me it was you. Don't tell me it was you, Tanswell. I've been blaming Adam behind the scenes.
It's a coincidence that Greg's mic was low and I was low as well, so it could be something bigger than me.
I mean, well, all I'll say is I seem to be the person that's not making any mistakes here. I'm like Ezri Konsa at the back, just not making any mistakes. And he's bound to make a mistake tomorrow. Now that I've said that, hopefully that's sorted it. Do let us know in the chat if that has helped anything. But he did sound louder down my ear, so hopefully I have no idea what's going on. We've had no problems with audio ever, and then suddenly 2 out of the last 3 shows that there's a problem with audio. I've got in my mind for tomorrow what I think Villa might do team selection wise. They're not in a position to make wholesale changes. Let's face it, we don't have the squad depth. All things turf is very happy with that audio changes, giving it the big thumbs up. So I think Luca Dean will probably come in and play left back. Great that Villa are in position. Someone's saying I'm too loud now, and I really hope they're winding me up. Luca Dean to come in for Moreno, I think, and it's great that Villa have been in the position for the first time this season where they can rotate the 2 left backs. I don't think Pau Torres will be risked. I think they'll save him for Sunday. Diaby for Bailey, I think, might be one that we see. Just give Bailey a bit of a rest, and Diaby made an impact when he came off the bench. And the other one is Morgan Rogers, obviously, for Ramsey, who's injured, give him a chance to get up to speed, another game under his belt. I've liked the look of him
Yeah.
so far, despite his struggles off the ball in the game against Luton. Would you say that's it? I don't really see any other changes that Villa will make. I'd expect the big hitters, Martinez, Watkins, Louise, Konsa, all to play.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that will probably be how Emery goes. I think the only, if you want to go for a bit more transitional, bit more pace on the break, you could play Bailey and Diaby together and maybe take out Tillemans. With Tillemans, obviously he's only recently come back from an injury, but at the same time he's, durability's been an issue for him for the last 12 months at both Leicester and Villa. So you might want to go with that. But I think overall you probably say that that's probably the only changes Emery would consider.
Yeah, I feel like I'm having to watch the chat more than I'm actually listening to what you're saying at the moment. Some people still saying that you're quiet, Jacob. I think actually when you held the microphone nearer your mouth, it worked better. Yeah, I think
Okay.
I
All
think you're
right.
gonna have to do that.
I'll
But
do
maybe
this. I'll do
yeah,
this for the rest. Yeah.
yeah, do that like you're sat up in the stand communicating with a football manager,
Like
like you're
I'm like a
one of the
first team
analysts.
analyst. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the analysts. Mojo Stone saying it's acceptable, but yeah, I think if you can do that for whatever reason, that will help us. It's a quite quick turnaround with these two games as well, isn't it? Like you have Ajax this Thursday, we've got Ajax again next Thursday, but sandwich in the middle of that is the Spurs game.
Hmm.
Do you think he'll rotate through the game, kind of manage people's minutes, give everyone minutes, but maybe like for example, Torres comes on for 20 minutes, give him 20 minutes or so with Sunday in mind?
I think so. I think there might be one of those examples where Emery just makes these wholesale changes where he subs 3 or 4 at a time. I think you have to consider Timo Obenham as well. Coming in potentially playing 25, 30 minutes. McGinn.
Duran,
Doug Duran, who knows? Obviously, just coming back from a hamstring injury, that's always a sensitive area, isn't it? I think you look at Douglas Luiz and you're thinking he's having to play a lot of minutes, and you don't want him injured. That's the last player you want injured. So, considering maybe on the 65th, 70th minute mark, 3 or 4 changes. Depends how the game goes. Emery won't really be thinking about Sunday if the game's in a delicate situation. He'll be focused on winning that game, and then they'll just keep adapting like they have all season to Tottenham on the weekend.
Zaniolo, maybe. I can't see it.
I think early in the season it would have been Zaniolo, but as the months go on and the season wears on, there's Emery's trust in him seems to be diminishing. I think you don't really know where he is. I know Emery's talked about his best position being played off the front, but that's either Tillemans, Bailey, or Diaby, and I don't think he's going to get in front of them, on current form.
Even McGinn's played games. I think
Yeah.
he'd put Timo Obenham into midfield and move McGinn forward rather than do that at the moment. He seems, Gazoak says in the comments he seems to have given up on Zaniolo. I think that's very very much the case. Rodgers, I spoke about briefly there. Do you think he will start? Because there is things with him and in Ramsey that are similar. I did quite like that in the Luton game that we lost Ramsey, and I feel with Villa we've got a really unique squad where when someone gets injured, we don't have a similar player to bring in. We've got lots of different types of players.
Yeah.
But actually, Rodgers does quite a lot of the things that Ramsey does well as well.
Do you know what? I was really impressed by Morgan Rogers. I was covering Bournemouth the year he was on loan there, and he was a left winger, right winger, would play wing back at times. And to be honest with you, I wasn't quite sure he was. He didn't really impress much. But in that cameo he had, well, not a cameo, it's longer than that, in the Luton game, you saw why Emery wanted him. He's very powerful. He's got a great balance. Like, the way he runs is very elegant, smooth. He's got good power centrally. I think that's where Emery likes to see him. He just want him on the at wide by the touchline. He wants him driving, ball carrying in a number 10 role. I think even playing in the number 8 role has not been ruled out. From discussions I've had, I think the hope is that he will start on Thursday evening. And I think off the ball was questionable, but he's a young lad coming into a difficult game at Kenilworth Road. And I thought on the ball, he was very confident, took players on, won fouls, drove the team forward. And you've probably got an insight into why Emery wanted him.
Yeah, he's nearly he's nearly scored. He's had a chance in every game
Yeah.
that he's been involved in as well, and some of them have been really short burst cameos. So I think that's really encouraged me as well. Is there anyone we should be watching out for Ajax other than Jordan Henderson celebrating throw-ins?
You've got obviously Bobby up top, who's seems to be their only creative spark, and he's getting flanked by 2 number 10, similar to how Emery plays with Ollie Watkins. But a lot of the time at the moment, it's very functional. It's very as I keep saying, sticking plasters, but it's very just getting by, really. But he's the guy who's been linked to a number of teams in England and across Europe as well. So he's probably the next guy on off the taxi list to probably end up on these shores too.
The only guy, I think, at the moment. I guess a good barometer of where Ajax are is that Alkmaar beat them reasonably comfortably a few weeks ago, and obviously Villa went to Alkmaar and completely brushed them aside. Do you think it's going to be a similar type of affair this time, where Villa can actually go to Ajax and blow them away in the first half like they did Alkmaar?
I think it could be similar if they get that early goal. I think you remember AZ, that goal came and it quietened down the home fans, enormously. I think that could be the same with Ajax, because it doesn't take much to open these wounds. You sure get, to a lesser extent, Sheffield United, Villa got a goal, and that kind of everyone just started to remember the scars of the previous games and over the course of the season. I think that could happen at Ajax as well. But I obviously think this is a type of game that they're going to get up for. They're going to be really quite compact. I think they're going to be quite aggressive in their duels. They will look at Villa. They'll probably adapt to how Villa play, sitting a little bit deeper in the middle block, trying to condense the space between the lines. I think it could be quite a frustrating evening. That's why I always say, especially with Villa, if they can get that early goal, it breaks the game open, and then you have the space, larger space for the number 10s and the two up top to really exploit.
Yeah. Okay, then. Well, brilliant. Thank you very much, Jacob, for joining me. And I hope you have a safe trip over to Amsterdam in the morning and enjoy your time there. And do get some time to take in the sights as well. And I'm sure there'll be some Villa fans on their best behaviour wandering around Amsterdam like monks, because that's what I'm sure all of them are doing. So, yeah, thank you very much for joining me. We'll be back for a preview against Spurs, where I'm sure Dave Reid and myself will look back on the Ajax game as well. We'll do that on Friday, I would have thought. And then, of course, there's a massive game in the Premier League on Sunday as Villa take on Tottenham Hotspur. So there'll be some reaction to that on the Monday as well. Get subscribed to the channel with your post notifications on so you know exactly when the video's coming. And wherever you are taking in these podcasts, then please, if you could subscribe, review. Don't leave us an audio review at the moment, though. We don't want to hear that at all. Give it a like. Do everything that you can that helps the channel grow. That would be really, really appreciated. And yeah, all those heading off to Amsterdam, maybe even some watching from Amsterdam, have a brilliant time. And as always, up the Villa.